Can you go under? Indy. He's gonna cuddle with the camera. Hi, I'm Jules. I hiked the Colorado Trail last summer. That would be July of 2023. My trail name is Alpine Glow, Glow for short. And I am doing just a little series of information, tips, tricks, education that I wish I had before I hiked the Colorado Trail. And today we're going to talk about dogs. I have Indy, come here. Come here. No, other way. Come here. Can you turn around? Yeah, sit down. This is my boy Indy. He hiked 175 miles of the Colorado Trail with me last summer. He was supposed to do the whole thing, and unfortunately he had to get off the trail in Twin Lakes. I have 2 videos of footage of his hike. Oh my god, he's falling asleep. I have 2 videos of footage of his hike. One that's kind of like ASMR-y and one that more explains why I had to take him off the trail. But I have high hopes that he is going to be a through hiker soon enough. That was going to be our first through hike. We have a couple short ones. We're spending our year doing a lot of training and getting him in shape, paws and endurance and positivity. And hopefully we'll have another through hike under our belts next year. So I wanted to start with what I packed for him. Talking about like what he actually carried in his pack, what I carried in my pack for him, and then also what I packed, what I fed him, and then things that we struggled with, things that I would do differently next time. I totally think you can hike the Colorado Trail with your dog. People do it. I think any other year Indy would have been fine. Even if we had just started the trail earlier. I was supposed to start the trail on July 1st, and I ended up, because of a weird situation with a friend emergency, not starting until the 12th. And we got caught in a heat dome. So this is the reason why he got taken off the trail. We got caught in a heat dome. It was in the hundreds for multiple days. He was taking 6-7 hour naps every day, which was just wearing me down. We ended up running out of food because of a mistake on my part, which if you watched the last video I posted about food and resupply, I made a mistake. So we ran out of food. We were both really struggling, but what really was the kicker, because I was we're just going to take it slow and we'll be fine. We went into Breckenridge and the sidewalks were so hot that it burned his paws and split them. And it took 6 weeks after him being off trail for those cuts to heal. It was 6 whole weeks. And we walked for from Breckenridge to Twin Lakes with those wounds, and it was rough. I felt horrible, but I didn't have any way to get him off the trail until Twin Lakes. And I was hoping that things would heal after a week. I left him in Leadville while I did the collegiate loop and then came back for him. But yeah, it took 6 whole weeks. So there's things I would do differently now, things that I didn't bring that I would have brought. I would have started the trail way earlier. I probably would have done more training. Oh, that's something else we should talk about. I'm going to try to keep this short, but I have ADHD. So let's just dive right in. Let's talk about training first. So I did training in terms of fitness and in terms of behavior. So he already does everything with me in my daily life, but we really focused on recall. I didn't want him to go missing on the trail. That is my biggest fear. There was a story yesterday. There's a triple crowner dog that went missing at the end of the AT yesterday, which is my worst nightmare. So we did a lot of recall training, on trail and off trail, making sure he steps aside. There's a lot of mountain bikers on the CT. We mountain bike together. So I wanted to make sure that he was well behaved. So we did a lot of heel and that just in our daily life. During the winter, we Nordic skied a lot. I didn't the CT was my first backpacking trip of last year, so we didn't get to do what I'm doing this year, which is a lot of like short week-long trips where we're doing like the 25-mile days that I wanted us to be doing on the CT. And it's like 1 week that's probably going to be really hard, and then he gets to rest and kind of build up stamina that way. He is half healer, half Great Pyrenees. He weighs 100 pounds. So I wanted to make sure he's an endurance dog, but he does not handle heat well, and he does not handle speed well. He is slow going, and he likes his rest, which I think a lot of dogs do. Even if your dog's in great shape, like, you're going to have to plan naps in the middle of the day. Like, it gets hot in the middle of the day. Your dog needs a rest. Most dogs sleep in the middle of the day. Dogs need a lot more sleep than humans do. So we trained, and we were doing mountain biking and day hikes and Nordic skiing. But this year I'm taking it a lot more seriously, and we're doing a lot more like mini trips to get him prepped, get him used to his packing, carrying his weight, and the heat. So that's what we did in terms of training. Let's go over, this is the Rough Wear approach pack. You can tell that we've had this for a really long time. It is torn to shreds. This is the only pack we've ever used. I really like its carrying capacity. The only thing I struggle with is I've never gotten it to sit quite right on his body. He has a really broad chest and a really tiny waist. So I don't know if that's me or the pack, but I find myself constantly adjusting it, but I do really like its functions. So I brought just our normal leash, Musher's wax, a roll of dog poop bags, which, if you don't know, I buried his poop. In a lot of these situations, if you're not gonna see a trash can for 5 days, you probably can't carry your dog's shit out. So I dug cat holes every time he pooped and buried it, just like you would for human waste. If we were near a town, I would pick it up, or if I knew that there was like trash facilities and we were close and I only had to carry it a couple miles, wanted to have this, or for when we were in towns. And then I had a dog bowl. I made this, I'm a gear maker, but it's just a little ultralight dog bowl. This is his second one. The first one got stolen by marmots outside of Breckenridge, actually like right outside of Copper Mountain in that little campsite up the hill. So like, I don't know, that's like 2 or 3 miles outside of Copper Mountain. So this is his second bowl. So this spent, the rest of the CT with us. And that's about all he carried. In my first aid kit, I had an ACE wrap in gauze in case he cut himself. And then he also has allergies, so I had dog Zyrtec. I talked to a couple of really nice ladies on the trail that had their dog, and they had like dog ibuprofen, which I thought was really interesting. I've never tried that, but I think that would be really cool to help if, sometimes they take like weird steps or something and they like hurt themselves. He also had a sit pad that he carried right up here. I used it as a sit pad during the day, and then he slept on that at night. I thankfully have this big fluffy dog. He does not need like a jacket or anything like that. So that is what I brought, but things I would change out next time. So this is a nonstop dog wear leash. I don't necessarily need this one. I have another one that's smaller, but this is a big, like, heavy leash. It's made out of climbing rope. I couldn't find my thin one. I don't know where it is, but I have one of these that's like half the length. So it's like a short little ultralight leash. I only put him on leash when I have to, like in wilderness areas or in town. I like to have him off leash. It's easier for him. It's easier for me. He just walks right beside me anyways. He doesn't have a prey drive. He doesn't like chase things. So I don't really have to worry about him running off. But it would be nice to just have a shorter leash. And then these are the boots that I ended up buying in Breckenridge. Unfortunately, he had already burned his paws at this point. I had just been worried. We stopped in Jefferson and the pavement was really hot there, and I was like shading him with my umbrella. These are hot pavement booties. So they have like a little breathable sole. They're breathable materials. You can pour water on them and it helps cool them off. If you don't know, dogs don't sweat. So to cool them off, you have to get water in their like armpits and belly and on their paws. So this was nice. I could cool them off. They go up high, so they have like a double closure. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I just like really like these boots. I spent way too much money on them at the pet store in Frisco. Dogs are allowed on the bus, by the way, in Breckenridge, which is really cool. So we took the bus from Breck out to Frisco. That's what it's called, right? So these are Canadian Pooch brand, but yeah, they have a little thing to pull them up, and then they Velcro around the bottom and then cinch around the top. So they stay on, stay high. Because we do so much like mountain biking and Nordic skiing, his paws are in like really good shape. I brought Musher's wax to keep them in good shape. So I would put this on like twice a day. I met a couple with their dogs that put it on 5 times a day. But to just keep, this is for mushing dogs. It's called Mush. As always, my phone ran out of storage. Hopefully this lasts a little bit longer. It's for mushing dogs, keeps their paws happy, healthy. I would highly recommend bringing mushers. It's just good to keep their paws moisturized, because if they're dry, they're gonna crack. So have the booties. I would bring these for any through hike, I think now, just for in town, because that's really like the hardest part, or any like trails that have a lot of road walking. The other things I haven't gotten to test these out yet. I don't know where the fourth one is. I have these in high and low. They're from Nonstop Dog Wear, but they're like lightweight protector socks, and I specifically got these in case we do the Oregon Coast Trail, for like hot sand. So like if I was hiking in desert or any like sandy, beachy conditions, these I think would be really great, because sand just like tears up dogs' paws. So I would highly recommend some type of booties. Know your dog. You probably know what's best for them, what you've already done with them. I don't think they need to wear boots all the time. I met a dog that just wore boots on her front paws. Her name was Bubbles. She also bailed off the trail, I think, in Leadville, if I'm not mistaken. She left a little bit before Indy. But some type of protection, even if they don't use it, have it for them. He also in his bag carried his like 1 day of food. So I used dehydrated kibble from Spot Farms, and I kept it in he had 2 op sacks, which are like the odor preventing bags, and had it balanced on either side of the pack, and he would just carry like a day's food at a time, and I carried the rest. If you don't know, the like rough math is a dog should carry no more than 10% of its body weight. Indy weighs 100 pounds. I did not want him carrying more than 10 pounds, but he eats 4 cups a day at home, so on trail I added extra calories. I wanted him to eat at least 5 cups a day. So it was a lot of food. It made my pack really heavy. It took up a lot of space, but totally worth it to have him there. I just got him this. It's a Canuck, I think that's how you pronounce it, outdoors collapsible water bottle. I've been the only one to use it so far, but it works pretty good. He will drink out of streams and rivers. I know some people are really weird about that because dogs can get like giardia and bacteria, but as long as it doesn't seem gross, my dog is indestructible. He ate like he did eat a whole carton of eggs yesterday out of my car. And the day before he got into his food bag and had like 8 dinners, and then he ate half a container of Trader Joe's peanut butter cups. So he's fine. But I got this thing so that he can carry water when there's long hauls. There are a couple long carries on the CT, that like you have to go a lot without water. I mean, the second day from South Platte to the fire station that's like 10 miles through a really exposed burn area with no water. So having extra carrying capacity for your dog, like they need water probably more than you do, is important. So that's what I brought for him. That's how I trained him. The last step to talk about would be like the actual trail. So a lot of the trail, you go through so many different environments, that there's like parts of it that are super not dog friendly and parts of it that I'm like, wow, Indy would have so much fun here. And the whole, after he left the trail, the whole rest of the time, that was like kind of my thought. It's like the 6th time I ran out of phone storage. So there's a lot of sections. I've never used gut hooks, but for the trail book, there's like nice little symbols of how much water there is. So if there's always water, if there's sometimes water, if there's no water, and it will give you notes to be like, this is the last water for 14 miles or something. So every day during Indy's nap and every night, I sat down and I made a plan of like, okay, we got up early in the morning, which depending on how hot it is, you might have to do this with your dog too. We got up at like 4:30 and started hiking before the sun came up. And then he would get a nap by the time the heat set in. Well, he got to take a nap whenever he wanted. I think that's really important to note. And I'll say this again at the end, like it is not hike your hike, it's hike their hike. You are hiking your dog's hike. Do not try to force them to do anything because it's not going to be fun for you. It's not going to be fun for them. And it's potentially unsafe. They don't speak English. They can't tell you if they're not okay. And if they're looking tired or if they're laying down, they probably need to rest, which is annoying. Bring yourself some form of entertainment if you're hiking solo like me. I had watercolor with me so that I could paint while he slept. Bring a book, something, make friends on the trail so you have people to talk to. But yeah, they're gonna take a nap. So we tried to get like at least 10 miles in by the time he had to sleep. And then, but whenever he was ready to go, which sometimes it was an hour or 2 hours, sometimes it was 6 hours, then we would just hike until we were ready to make camp for the night. So some days it ended up, we only got 10 miles in. Some days we ended up doing like 25. Which is kind of like my overall goal, is to have him always be down to do 25 miles. That would be awesome. But it's not always realistic. Sometimes he just can't do it. It's too hot. There's not enough water, not enough shade, whatever it is. So I made a plan to figure out where we could stop, what was the best course of action, and kind of charted my path on the trail based off of what was best for him. So I would see like, okay, if we go like 8 miles in, there's, okay, we're gonna try to speed this up so I stop running out of storage and ignoring you. Yeah, I could plan out, I would choose where we would stop based off of water, and I would have a goal and I would have a backup plan. So sometimes it was like, okay, I want to get 10 miles in, but we could stop 8 miles in. But once I passed that point and I was like, we're going to be fine. We're going to get to where we want to go. And we ended up stuck in the middle, like mile 9.5 or something. And he slept there for 6 hours and we did not have water nearby. So I would plan out. You don't need to do like every single day, but you could. I mean, like in advance every single day. You don't have to go on the trail and know exactly, because you're going to have to adjust based off of weather. But I would have a plan of where you can stop, where you both have water, where you'd both be comfortable, so that you guys can have a good experience. I met dogs on the trail that were only doing 5 miles a day. Me and one other person had dogs that were doing more like 25 miles a day. It just depends on you. It depends on your dog. But at the end of the day, you just have to put them first, make sure that they're happy, they're healthy, and that they're having a good time. Because they didn't ask to do this. Like, Indy loves backpacking, but like he didn't ask to hike the Colorado Trail. I just took him on the Colorado Trail. They didn't ask to be out there. They didn't sign up to hike 500 miles. But even if they're stoked on it, I think it's a really good idea to make sure that you are putting them first. And yeah, just really making sure that you have an idea of what's coming. You can't, if you're just like hiking by yourself without a dog, you can kind of just walk the trail and you'll be fine. You go through plenty of towns, as long as you know what you're doing, you're gonna be okay. But if you don't know that you have 20 miles where there's no water, or that there's 10 miles of really exposed terrain, you could get your dog into some sketchy situations. I would just recommend that how they tolerate heat, how they tolerate low water, how they tolerate elevation, how they tolerate cold, because there was snow on the trail still, a lot of it, which made Indy so happy. But some dogs would not want that. Some dogs would not like that. So I would just say, get to know your dog. Make sure that you guys have a good system dialed in, because through hiking can be hard, and it's even harder when you have a dog. The last thing I'll talk about probably is safety. I can't carry Indy. He's 100 pounds. They do make rescue sleds and carry straps. I don't even think I could do that. I just kind of took that risk while I was out there. I really want to get one of those rescue straps. I think the company is called Saker, that I know that makes them. So that if something happened, I would ditch all my stuff, grab my water, and carry him to a trailhead. I would do that. I just know that right now, I couldn't. When he was a puppy, we practiced fireman carries, I think they're called. But I don't think I could get very far with a 100-pound dog on my back. So depending on what size your dog is, that's something to take and consider. Have a plan. I had a Garmin InReach. I have friends all over Colorado. I knew that if I sent a message, I could have someone come out and help me carry Indy out if I needed to. That was kind of my plan, because I knew even if I had one of those straps, I don't know how long I could carry him for. And I'm pretty strong. He's uneven, he's top heavy, and he weighs 100 pounds. So it's kind of something to take in consideration, and just have a plan. Know what to do, know how to perform CPR on your dog, first aid on your dog, have the tools to do that. I knew that if Indy was injured and we had to stay put for a day while people came out to help us, I wanted to have the things I knew could keep him alive, keep him okay. On top of this, I haven't talked about this, I also brought him treats and a chew. So every single resupply box I packed had a bag of treats that I carried to reward him for good things, keep things fun, happy, and then also he got a dental chew in every box to keep his breath fresh. I wish I brought more, honestly, because hiking is hard and he deserved more treats. I would say, keep that in mind. This is still your dog. He might be your best backpacking buddy. I know Indy's mine. But it should be something that's fun. Just like if you were hiking with your kids, make sure you take breaks to stop and play and enjoy the trail and relax, play in the water, sleep on a beach somewhere. Just really enjoy your time out there, because they deserve a break. They deserve to have fun. On really hard sections, I would let Indy take his pack off and I would carry it for him, so that he could just focus on hiking. If there was water, we always stopped and swam. You just have to adjust your trip to do what's best for them. I hope you guys have such a good time on the Colorado Trail with your dogs. I hope they finish the trail, become CT completers like Indy will someday. And let me know any questions you have. I know I didn't go into details about specific sections. So if you have questions about wow, how do you think that they'll do in section 27 or something? That's how the guidebook divides it up. I know gut hooks is one long list. So if you have questions about specific sections of trail and how I would handle them with a floofer, let me know. I'm happy to help, because I want so many dogs to have such a good time on the CT, and I don't want anyone to have burned paws like Indy Boy did. So yeah, we hope you have a good hike. Happy trails, happy tails, and we'll be back soon with another CT video with just more tips and tricks and educations and way too much talking and always running out of storage space.